Hello, everyone, and welcome to episode 170 of the All You Hear podcast. I'll be your host today, Patrick, and joining me today are my three cinephilic co-hosts.
Still stuck in this fucking house, Jonathan.
Mad Colt. I'm going to drive my car into the ocean.
Weary Wenzel.
And today we'll be talking about our summer movie check-in, because we had a big movie check-in at the end of May. That was for our spring watching, and today we're just talking about what I've been consuming in the tropical fun time summer edition of quarantine. Because as the quarantine drags on, we've still been afforded a lot more time to catch up on movies. So that's what we'll be talking about today.
Yeah.
You betcha.
I've already blown my 100 movie challenge out of the water thanks to the quarantine. I want to say around 50, 60 last time we checked up on this. But yeah, I'm over 100. I think I'm like 106 or 4, somewhere in there.
Crazy motherfucker.
Yeah, like Colt, I was around 50 movies ish at the end of May, and since the end of May I've watched 54. So I'm sitting at 99 movies right now.
Fuck. Shit.
Yeah, I was like at 30, and now I'm at like 82. So, do the math.
All right.
I don't remember how many I was at. I was like 30 something as well, and then now I'm at like 56. I'm at 56.
Been doing some watching.
Yeah, I think so. I watched a good bit last month, June. Sorry, I'm trying to look at my letterbox because I have something to kind of like push me to watch movies was like I made like a to be watch list. So like I had a June to be watch list, and I watched everything on it. I don't know if you want me to just go ahead and talk about those, or if anybody has anything else they want to add about like stuff, or I don't know.
I figured we sort of like kind of go through the procession of it. Like we start with May, work through June, and go through July, and sort of just go in sort of order what all we've been watching.
Oh yeah.
And
Oh God, I've seen so much.
Yeah, I think for me the movies in May. I mean, I talked about them in that one episode we did because I only watched like movies on my own. I watched 3, and that was just I'll say it again. True History of the Kelly Gang. It's fucking good. The Criterion of Don't Look Now, and then My Hero Academia 2 Heroes, and then everything else was just for the podcast. So that's what I watched.
Yeah, for me, I finally got to watch the new One Piece movie Stampede at sort of like a big anniversary celebration. That was a lot of fun. Just like a pure One Piece adrenaline in action. If you're a big One Piece fan, I think it's a nice sort of hallmark for this series. As you can see, there's a bunch of cameos. You see all your new favorites or the new current cast in there just fighting. It was a lot of fun. One big movie that we saw in May, at least the art house, was The Handmaiden.
Yeah.
Now, The Handmaiden was a very big movie that Cody and Jonathan kind of like snickered about in the background for a long time, and then finally we was a house, me, Liz, Cannon, and Jonathan all sat down to watch it in May, and holy shit, it's not only is it an amazing, just immaculately shot movie, it's just on every level superb filmmaking. It's also butt fucking wild.
Yes. God, like, because I remember watching it the first time with Cody and some other friends, and like for like the second half of the movie, we were just screaming because it got fucking crazy at points. It's a movie I will say go in completely blind, because it goes in places. It's all about the reveals, and I know a lot of people will say like because it's divided into 3 distinct parts. At least get through part 1, and if you're somehow like you get to the end of that and it's like, okay, what the fuck, then you are not human.
Or you get to the end and you don't say what the fuck.
Yeah, that's what I meant.
Because Cole, because of the 4 of us, Wenzel's the only one that hasn't seen it, but you got to watch it as well. What was your impression without giving spoilers away?
I watched when I watched it probably like a month later. I liked it. I thought it was really good. It's just that the way everyone in the group talked about it, it had like some ungodly picture in my head, I guess, or a godly picture where I thought it'd be the best thing I've ever seen, or it's going to be one of the best things I've ever seen. And I was disappointed. It wasn't a big disappointment. It was just like That's not what I was expecting. It was good though. It was very good. I gave it 4 out of 5 stars. That's good.
Yeah, because it comes very acclaimed. It's by Korean filmmaker Park Chan-wook. I mean, of course, he has a very storied filmography. For me, Handmaiden was probably one of the very small handful of movies I've given 5 stars to this year. Probably I've given at least 3 5-stars away, and I'm not someone who really does that. But to me, it was just a beautifully shot, just gorgeous movie.
And to just give y'all like some perspective of like what was happening while we were watching, like, because I was sort of like was pushing them to watch this movie. I was like, come on, let's watch this. This is fucking wild. You're gonna love it. And usually we're pretty rowdy when it's like just us, like even if it's something we haven't really seen. But like Pat was like just dead silent the entire time, and I was like, oh fuck, Pat won't fucking hate me for recommending this movie. And then the minute it ends, he was like, that was one of the best things I've ever seen, goddamn.
Like, it was really good. And like seeing Liz and Ken react to it, who they didn't really have a hype going in, they just heard us talk, maybe had heard us say it was good, and then seeing and hearing their reactions too, it was always good. Because like a little insight into the house, like we're all very like boisterous people when it comes to a lot of things, especially when we're watching movies, especially when we get rowdy. But to see kind of everybody kind of turn up at the exact same time at certain moments, and like in a film, especially this one, that's always like a really sort of gratifying experience to have.
Exactly. And it's on Amazon Prime right now, which I think is probably the best way to watch it because it has the different colored subtitles based on what language they're speaking, which that's a big point of the film. Which I have the Blu-ray, and I was real disappointed that they didn't have the different colored text for, you know, whether they were speaking Korean or Japanese. But I mean, it was still fucking amazing.
So let that be a little enticement for Wenzel and the audience as well. This is definitely one worth checking out while you're still in quarantine, while you have the time. Just be aware going in. The first part is slow, and there is maybe some explicit moments. It's definitely not a family film.
No, do not watch this with your parents. Do not.
It earns its R rating.
In May, I think May is probably my biggest month ever for movies watched this year. And I watched 20 movies in total. I think like 8 of them were for the podcast. And I watched Casino, Godfather Part 2 and 3, and Apocalypse Now back to back to back on 4 different days. And let me tell you, I think they are definitely worth the hype. Godfather Part 3, yeah, it's not as good as the other Godfather. Still good, though. But yeah, May was a good month for movies, other than the end when I said, you know what, I just got, what's HBO Max, and I said, you know what, Unfriended's on here, and I've heard good things about this from Tanner, I think, or Tanner heard good things from someone else, so I'm going to check this out. Unfriended is probably some of the worst movies I've seen this year. Do not watch them.
I was about to say, Unfriended, I don't know, that's bizarre. I don't think I've ever heard Tanner talk about that movie.
I mean, I don't think he's seen it. I think it's where he's heard people talking good about it.
Oh.
I mean, I've only heard people, like, just take giant dumps on those movies.
Tanner gave the new Chucky movie 3.5 stars, so I expect him to probably give this one a good 4.5.
Well, horror is such a weird sort of genre because it's probably next to comedy the most subjective genre to watch because everybody has a different idea of like what's scary and what's funny and whatnot. Like a good example, Veronica is a Netflix horror movie, and it was touted by some to be one of the scariest movies in the last couple of years. And I think both Wenzel and Tanner gave it like 1 star and less, and then Cody gave it like 4 stars.
Yeah.
So it just shows the disparity of what people think is good and scary, which I find personally very interesting.
Yeah, I'm looking right now. Cody gave it 4 stars. I gave it 0.5 star, and that 0.5 star is specifically for... I could give it a full star because there's one scene in there, won't spoil it, there's one scene there that was genuinely creepy, but then everything after that was just kind of like boring. Yeah, right now on Letterboxd it holds a 3.0 rating, which isn't bad. I don't know, it just, you know, not to my taste. But also Tanner doesn't like, and no offense against you guys, Tanner doesn't like Hereditary, and yet he gave Chucky 3.5 stars. Like, it's bullshit.
I want to fight him at almost all times.
Chucky is not scary. Like, it's not even fun. Well, it's a little fun, but it's not scary.
Like, it's not even visually appealing. It's just an ugly ass doll going.
Yeah,
sicko
exactly. It's
mode.
so he looks so disgusting. Like, it doesn't scare me. It makes me want to punch him in the fucking face.
Yeah, it makes me want to throw up looking at that ugly ass little doll. I'll fucking kill it. I'll rip its head off.
I mean, that's the thing about like haunted dolls and stuff. It's like, you know, like if it was just the doll, I think we talked about this before, but I'm just gonna break this.
We definitely talked about this before.
If it's just the doll and it's walking towards you, like the only supernatural thing about it is the fact that it's a moving doll. You know what you can do? You can tip it over and just walk.
Use fire. If like, I feel like fire's like a last ditch thing, but just pick it up and like pull its arms as hard as you could. Rip its arms off. Watch the soul inside fight you.
Like, I mean, just like you could just walk past it. Like, it's just a dumb doll. Like, throw it in the trash. Like, I mean, I know Annabelle was thrown in the trash, but like, just, you know, smash it, shred it, burn it. Like, who cares? It's just a dumb doll. I don't care if it's possessed by the devil. Like, fuck the devil. He's an idiot.
Can't even play Fortnite.
The next Chucky reboot, they just give Chucky a gun.
Okay, now that's when it's that's different.
Okay,
that's fucked up.
Scary.
That's scary.
It's time to update Chucky. Give him a
Oh,
Glock.
God, no, he'll kill us all.
Child's Play is definitely one of those slasher horror franchises I always thought was stupid and could never get into.
Completely agree.
For like all the reasons y'all were saying. It's like, it's a fucking doll. You can pun him.
I mean, yeah. I will say, as a kid, I was genuinely scared of Chucky. That's why I never watched it. And like as a kid, I got creeped out by him. But then as I'm older now, I'm like, what a stupid looking doll. Like I'm not a kid anymore, so fuck him.
Yeah, I watched Child's Play in May as well. I gave it 2.5 stars because it does have some funny moments. I hate watching it by myself, mainly because it was so long, and I like all the jokes that I wanted to make. They're for myself, and I couldn't enjoy it with friends. It's definitely a movie you want to watch with friends, just so you can shit on it.
Rest in peace.
But Colt, you talking about how, you know, it's like, oh God, this movie's so long. Just this little period of time where we've been watching movies where like, if it is above 90 minutes, I start to roll my eyes.
Yeah, honestly, I feel the same way.
I'm just like, come on, get in and get out. There's so much you.
That's funny because I've been doing the same thing. Shit. Like when I look at a movie that I want to watch, I mean, I watch those like really long movies, like 2-hour movies, but like when I look at the time of a movie, I'm like, all right, which one's the shortest? And then like kind of divide it between shortest, short, middle, and long, and like those, you know, I like that's how I divide the time, because then it's like I can get the maximum amount of time of watching movies in.
I just throw on whatever I'm wanting to watch. Time does not affect.
That's fine. That's fair. You know, like I need to force myself to give these 2-hour movies a chance. You know,
But there's definitely a time and place. With Jonathan and I think our issue comes in part from we usually get the urge to watch a movie like 9 o'clock at night on a weekday, so we're just like, we're not going to watch some 2.5, 3-hour monstrosity when we got to like turn in for work, you know, the next day.
Yeah.
But that hasn't stopped us before. But generally it's like quantity as well, because like, you know, because we have so much time, and something we started this year is just sort of see more movies, and ones on the shorter end that allow for more consumption and to see more. But of course, there's a time and a place for longer movies as well.
Oh yeah.
But going back to horror just for a second, I finally got to watch a horror movie this year that was kind of buzzing with us late last year, just with the quarantine and sort of select release. We just never came to our neighborhood. But I watched The Lodge with The House as well, and this movie came with a fair amount of clout, and ultimately I was just kind of underwhelmed by it.
Yeah.
Yeah, I enjoyed it a good bit. I just hate those kids
God
so
damn it,
much.
Those kids are like, this isn't a spoiler, but god damn, those kids are assholes.
If the kids were never born, this movie would be good.
You know, that's the thing is, by the biggest problem with my movie, and again, no spoilers whatsoever. I think everybody who listens to this should give it a chance, because you might like it or you might not, but I think it deserves to be determined by yourself. For me, it should have took a risk. It should have took a risk, and I think it would have paid off for it if they would have went down that route that they should have, but they didn't. That's what I'm gonna say. It was very it was very disappointing.
Yeah, still give it a check if you're interested in it.
To bounce off of what Wenzel was saying, it felt like it gave its hand away too early.
Yeah.
Where it was like, oh, I think this is what's going on, but then the movie tries to redirect you, and then it's like, oh no, this is what's going on. It's like if the movie's like showing you a card trick, how to do it, and it's like, okay, that's cool, and then tries to pull the card trick on you, and you're like, no, I know how the card trick
That's
works.
exactly. It shows you the trick, tells you how the trick is done, and then it keeps trying to go forward with it, but it's like, we already know where this is going. Like, it stops right here. Like, that's where it should. This is where it stops. That's where all the enjoyment stops, right here.
And talking about how, we're kind of growing impatient with movies over 90 minutes. I mean, I think this movie was 90 minutes, but
Yeah.
God damn, it felt so much longer. There are a lot of just shots of hallways and just like random empty rooms. And I know part of it is just like build the tension or just sort of
Show how isolated and sort of
Yeah.
like empty it all is. Because for those who don't know, it's about a stepmother and her stepchildren being sort of isolated in the cabin while the father's called away on very sudden business, and sort of just the claustrophobia and isolation of it all. But like there comes a point, we talked about this several times on the show. We watch movies, we understand what the director is trying to get across, but they're kind of like, okay, we get it.
Yeah.
Kind of move on.
It's kind of pretentious.
Yeah, it is a really pretentious movie. It's like the worst aspect of the A24 horror movies.
Yeah.
All rolled into one.
Yeah, I would.
That being said, the opening and the very end, I think, are really good.
Yeah.
It's just like everything else in the middle was just kind of plotting and not bad, but just boringly competent.
Yeah. That I mean, give it a shot. If you like it, you like it. Good for you. Because like.
Yeah, because I've seen a lot of people really love it. So.
And the parts that like will that make it shine, like Pat said, the claustrophobia and the isolation, like if that's what does it for you, that and the beginning and the end, okay, everybody has different ways to rate and view something, and that's completely understandable.
And I will say that like to me one of the strongest messages from the movie is sort of, I guess, like I feel like I'm afraid to talk about it because it may get into a spoiler, but like I guess maybe slight spoiler ahead, is sort of like the dangers of like, I guess, manipulating people and gaslighting.
Yeah, the moral of this movie is do not gaslight, because it ends real bad.
Ugh, God,
These kids suck.
But and we talk about the kids being shits. That dad is the worst character in the fucking movie. I'm just saying.
I
don't know.
I don't know about
We can't really talk about it without spoiling. Like,
I'm just saying the dad fucking
Not
sucks.
worse than the kids. I can't understand that.
Yeah, Dad, keep an eye on your fucking mentally disturbed children. Get them some therapy.
Oh my God. Well, you know what? I would say, I don't know. Maybe the dad is kind of an asshole now that I think about it. I mean,
yeah, you see what I'm talking
All right,
about?
if
now?
we're doing that, maybe the mom was an asshole too.
Whatever.
Don't put me in this.
Well,
don't put me in this.
Okay, like because we can't talk about it without going to spoilers. So
Let's just say,
move on
the reason why I say that is not that necessarily he's an asshole, but like, he should have taken more priority into looking. God damn it! I don't want
Just no more. It's over. The Lodge. It's a movie.
It's just okay.
Yeah, find out for yourself if it's worth the clout.
Yeah, there's one movie I wanted to really talk about that I don't think anybody here has seen, but like, I saw briefly like a trailer for it last year because like, there's like a certain sect of like YouTube where you get those like really like not cheap, but like those kind of like weird oddball sci-fi movies that they'll occasionally see trailers of on there, and this was one of those, and it came out in 2019, but I don't know if it was if it just got put onto Amazon Prime this year, but I got to watch it, and it's The Vast of Night, and it's pretty much you're kind of like, it's a sci-fi thriller, but it's like UFO 19 let me go look at the page. It's either 1950s or 1960s. Kind of that like UFO kind of era where like all that stuff was like really starting to be like suspected and talked about during the space race, and it was really good. It was just such a fun like movie, especially like if you're into the whole that whole weird UFO conspiracy stuff. I definitely would tell everybody to give it a chance to watch it. Oh, and like the shots too. There's this one in the very beginning of the movie. There's just this one long continuous shot, really fucking good. I really enjoyed that as well.
I'm a slut for oneers, so I would probably love
and like
that.
the thing is too, it's like the focus is specifically on like the two characters. So like I think that like for me, that kind of like that following of those characters and their interactions, I think that's just that's basically every movie, but like these long continuous shots are like really with just them, and I just think those are like really really good. And I watched that in June as well.
I've watched so many movies. I'd going through and like trying to pick out like my favorites or the ones that stuck out. But in June, I watched The Five Bloods. It came out, and it was one that I was looking forward to ever since they announced it. And I watched it, and wow, I enjoyed it very much so. It was very, very good. It's about 4 Vietnam vets that go back to get one of their old friends that died in combat. And I feel like it's a movie that's all you should know before going into it, because it is a ride and a half.
Yeah, because me and Pat watched it as well, right as it dropped on Netflix, and I thought it was pretty good. Like, I don't think I liked it as much as you did, Colt, but, I mean, it was still... it's Spike Lee. For all of his eccentricities as a director, I still think he's one of the most unique out there. And so, yeah, I thought this movie was pretty good. There were parts of it that I felt were kind of, trite and cliche, which, seeing some of Spike Lee's other stuff, even though he's not like a very subtle director, there's a lot of originality to him. So I don't know, see him do this movie, which apparently was him and his other writer reworked a script from Oliver Stone, who is a famous director from the late 80s and early 90s. And I could really tell the holdovers from Oliver Stone's script, because there was a lot of, I don't know how to say it without spoiling it, but there were a lot of like very cliched moments where it's like, okay, this is what this movie's doing, and it that kind of made me roll my eyes about it. But thematically and what the movie has to say, I think it's really interesting.
Because I agree, because there's definitely a lot the movie has to say that's very prescient right now in terms of like civil rights and oppression, but also we get a perspective that we don't really get to see in movies, and that's like black experience in the military, especially in Vietnam, when black men were being enlisted far more than their white counterparts, and sort of seeing the effects in different ways. And plus, like, because you have like the 3 veterans who are coming back. We also have one character who has a very interesting position, is that he's a black man, but he's also like a supporter of Donald Trump and a MAGA believer, which may sound illogical, but it's true. It does happen. And seeing like his very deeply flawed like life and mindset, and just sort of the damage that's been done to him psychically from the war, and just sort of living a life, I find that it was one way very compelling. Although there were like a few moments, like you said, Donson said, there were like a few trite moments, but I think it's very much worth the watch. Be of course forewarned. It's a very violent, explicit movie. Of course, this is a Vietnam movie, so expect a lot of heavy content going in.
Yeah, but like that being said, I was surprised at how much of it took place in present day. Mm-hmm. But there is a turn the movie makes about a third of the way through, because it was like, okay, this is fun. Oh. Like like me and Pat were like, wait, what? Okay, that happened.
Yeah, because I think I know what you're talking about, and that when that moment hits, it just knocks you on your ass.
That was the second win for me. I was like, yes, feed me. I don't want to say any more about it because I really think you should go into this as blind as possible.
Yeah, I want to check it out because everybody's been talking about it in our friend group.
So to me, I definitely think it's one of the higher end movies from 2020. It's definitely worth going out and checking it out. It's on Netflix, so that's something everybody has more or less. So you definitely to check that one out. One movie for me that Jonathan and I also watched is probably sitting at the top of my pile for best 2020 movies, and that's Shirley. It's on Hulu streaming, and it's about the life of Shirley Jackson, the famous American novelist, and it's sort of dealing with her mental fragility and struggle as a writer, but also dealing with her very tumultuous marriage and her budding friendship with a wife of a couple that moves in with them, her and her husband, and it's shot in such an interesting way because Shirley Jackson was a famous American novelist who specialized in horror. There are different moments in the movie that are shot like a horror movie, and it does it so well. And just Elizabeth Moss plays Shirley Jackson, and she has she has a venom about her that's just so fun to watch, but at the same time it's a little repellent because she is a very hard character to empathize with in certain ways because she is so outwardly acerbic. But once you start to find more about her mindset and her life and her marriage, it all makes more sense. And just sort of just how the deep hole people can get in with sort of being confined to their mental illness and the expectations that people put on them. To me, it's a fantastic movie. And also it really, not to spoil too much, but it sort of explores the rumors or the thoughts that she was a closeted queer woman. And it sort of goes into that a little bit. And that's a sort of a large portion of the movie. And to me, this is one of my highly recommended movies for 2020.
Yeah, just all what Pat said. It was really good. It's really interesting, and it's strangely bizarre, but also familiar at the same time. Because once the credits came up, they were in the font of you would see in an early to mid 90s movie that was one of those sentimental dramedies. But I don't know. And the movie doesn't end in a way you would think. It ends in a way that is more realistic. And I mean, and part of that's because it's based off a real person. They're constrained by the real life of that person.
Because it's definitely historical fiction. It plays with real people and their actual history, but it sort of explores these figurative aspects of their life that can until it's finally proven can be either confirmed or denied. So it's to me it's a great movie, and like John said, the way the movie ends, it ends interestingly in the way it's shot because the credits are rolling as the movie is still playing, which you don't really see.
At least not anymore. But yeah, highly recommend. It was on Hulu, right?
It's on Hulu. Yeah.
Nice. Yeah, I want to see that too. Again, a lot of big buzz about it. Also, for me, for June, I actually made a list of movies to watch, and I watched them all. There was 12 movies. The Vast of Night was on there, and so was The Lodge. There's another movie I watched, Snatchers. I liked it, but wasn't as good as literally the rest of these movies on here. But two movies, because I want to talk about, because Colt watched them as well, was Prince of Darkness and In the Mouth of Madness, both by John Carpenter.
Yeah.
And they're part of the Apocalypse trilogy, which also has The Thing, and goddamn, both are great in my opinion. I watched Prince of Darkness first because that's the order they're kind of in, and it's a sci-fi horror, cosmic horror, because this church priest finds a mysterious green vat of liquid, and there's some brotherhood of the church called the Brotherhood of Silence, secret, and he recruits the help of a physics professor and his and some graduate students to figure this out. And it's just so it's just so fucking good. What'd you think of it, Colt?
Prince of Darkness was really, really good. It was my favorite of the two, In the Mouth of Madness. In the Mouth of Madness is my favorite of the two, but Prince of Darkness has some moments that are really, really good. I feel like there are the highs in Prince of Darkness are a little higher than Mouth of Madness, and Mouth of Madness is just more consistent throughout. But Prince of Darkness was really, really good. I really enjoyed the whole giant vat of green goo that holds in Satan.
Well, fuck. There you go, boys.
Well, I mean, it's called Prince of Darkness.
No, I mean, like, it's fine. I just didn't know if we wanted to do that. Yeah, that green vat is Satan.
Yeah.
I mean, what, that movie came out in the like late 80s.
Because I feel like that, because Prince of Darkness is such a well-known horror movie that even people like me who only have a cursory knowledge of it, I was aware that the green goo was related to Satan. Wait, does that mean that Nickelodeon has secretly been working for Satan the whole time with the slime?
Shut your mouth, Pat. Don't you give this away for them.
Who's watching?
There is one thing that's weird about it for me is Satan's messengers, which is homeless people. I don't think this gave them a good rap, even though they didn't have a good rap from years and years of mistreatment. But still,
Like some unfortunate implications by doing that, maybe.
Yeah, because I don't think, I mean, I'd like to think that John Carpenter wasn't like, yeah, let's make homeless people the messengers of Satan, because the homeless people, they were just, they were literally just being controlled because they were near his tube. I don't know, like the whole take on it, like in general, like instead of like, your usual like Satan's in hell, God's in heaven, biblical this, biblical that, it's more of like Satan's been reduced to a primordial ooze and he has to, he's been sealed away scientifically by some ancient high-tech science from some civilization. I don't know. It was just, to me, that was cool. But I think Colt told me this, and I agree with him, is that the main character that we're following is a fucking creep.
yeah.
Looking like a fucking cop. Like, oh man, that was just so weird. Because like he kept like staring at this woman that's in his, like one of his fellow classmates in his physics class or whatever. He just kept staring at her. And then he was like, oh, what the fuck did he say? He said something so fucking stupid to her. Oh,
it was highly offensive.
It was highly offensive. And he was like, wait a minute. I didn't imagine this to go that way. Can we start over? And it's like, then they end up having sex later. And it's like, oh, what? Man, what the fuck was it? It was so stupid. Whatever. Anyway, watch this movie. It's great. And then there's In the Mouth of Madness. I don't even know where to begin. It was so freaking good. Like, the thing is like, all these movies are just so different, and, like, I gave them all 5 stars because they're each unique in their own way, but In the Mouth of Madness is just an absolutely insane movie. It has, Sam Neill playing the main character, and, he's great. I don't know what is with him in, playing these weird crazy guys in movies, because he was also in Event Horizon as well, if anybody's seen that.
He's apparently in a lot of movies that I didn't realize he was in.
Yeah, Jurassic Park.
And Thor Ragnarok.
He was in Thor Ragnarok?
Yeah, apparently. I did not know that.
The strange ubiquity of Sam Neill.
Yeah, I guess so. But
yeah, definitely check those out. I still think The Thing is the best of the 3, but these definitely need to be checked out. They're very good.
As long as we're getting back into horror groove, I think Jonathan and I need to talk about one of the scariest movies we saw this year for certain. And that, of course, being Artemis Fowl.
Oh, God.
Oh my God. Oh, fuck. Where to start on that piece of shit?
God, it was such a fucking insanely dumb ride, because the movie movie's like 90 minutes max, but it feels like it's somehow burning to get through its material and goes nowhere fast, but also taking as much time as possible to do everything in the movie.
Yeah, and Kenneth Branagh made some choices. That's what I'll say. Because
This is definitely a paycheck movie. Like he got his light bill paid that month. That's for sure.
I'm all for not beating the shit out of kids. I know that's a very
that's a weird stance. That's a weird stance.
That's a brave
going?
take.
Also, that's a very interesting soundbite for anybody who takes it out of context.
Fuck it. But the main kid in the movie, I just want to slug the entire time. He is such a condescending piece of shit with no charisma at all. And it's, I don't know how, like, he makes me irrationally angry.
I mean, part of the gimmick is, like, Artemis Fowl, like, in the books, like, he's just super smart kid who's like, I'm better than you and I'm so smart, and like that's part of his character arc and how he evolves from that. But since this is obviously going to be a stillborn franchise, like I don't expect any more to come from it after the performance of this movie. It's just like he's just a little snot the whole movie, but like at the same time but he's not. He's infuriating, but not.
Is he a Dennis the Menace, but not intentional, like you said?
No, he's more condescending, where there's a scene early on in the movie where he gets called to the principal's office because he's sitting in class and he's bored. And the principal is like, all right, Artemis, you need to try. And he's like, I don't want to because y'all don't challenge me. And that chair you have is actually from this time period and it's not the real thing. So fuck you. And then like Mike drops and walks out. And I'm like, shut the fuck up.
Because like he's like the smartest person in the world. Like he's 9 years old and he's like just so like scathingly intelligent. He looks down at everyone. He can like pick apart like some 14th century forgery just with a glance. Like he's just like super smart and conditioned to be like this prodigy of extreme prowess. And then homeboy's papa gets kidnapped by
who's played by Colin Farrell, who's just sleepwalking at this point.
Yeah, like by the Hildeferk and the other hidden people, and then the little kid gets involved in like the fairy wars.
Yeah, because there's like this other fairy world, and then what was the MacGuffin called? Because they say it like every 5 seconds.
I fucking swear to God, they say that goddamn word so many fucking times. I can't remember what it
or something.
I can't even remember what the fuck it was. They said it 100 times.
It was something really fucking dumb.
If you took a drink every time they said it in their first 30 minutes, you would have alcohol poisoning.
Yeah, you would have to get your fucking stomach pumped. And like the fairy world, like mostly follow this this one lady fairy who apparently's dad like rebelled against the fairy people, or like it makes no goddamn sense.
I'm understanding. I don't know what you're talking about.
Yeah, I get it.
And then you follow her, and then Josh Gad's character, who the more I see Josh Gad, like that little kid, I just fucking can't stand him. I bet he's a nice guy. Like, I would probably love to have a beer with him. But goddamn, because I also watched Frozen 2 like a couple weeks ago, and he was fucking insufferable in that fucking movie.
Because Josh Gad gets paid probably an obscene amount of money to be like the irritating comic relief character in pretty much every movie that Disney has cast him in so far.
Yeah, and he's like the framing device of this movie is him being interrogated by like the CIA or something.
And he's essentially recounting the entire story while in captivity.
He's like, y'all won't be able to stop him. He's blah 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 blah. And it's like,
and also he has a Batman voice the entire time too.
Yeah.
Hell yeah.
But the best / worst part of this movie though is Dame Judi Dench.
Oh yeah.
Oh my god.
As the captain of the guard, she's like the leader of the like SWAT team, special forces organization that are leprechauns. They have these bright green leather matrix suit signs, and they're just zipping around. And like Dame Judi Dench is nigh on immobile for the most of the movie. It's just tight, close shots of her just standing like rigid and still and walking on a Segway. And like she's also talking in a Batman voice.
Yes. Apparently everyone just thought it was cool to have like Batman voice. So she's talking like she's Terry, who's a smoker. And there was one moment in this movie that I threw up in my fucking mouth. Because there's like this big battle scene towards the end of the movie with a bunch of fucking stupid CGI shit that you don't give a fuck about. So it's like this Normandy invasion type thing where they get on the beach. So she gets out of her little ship and she's walking down the runway and she has a stupid fucking helmet on. And out of nowhere just says, "Top of the morning to you."
Because like it's meant to be this badass line because she pops up with like her big like shield helicarrier spaceship and like all these like big dump ships of like just fairy SWAT team just like spilling out like ants and they just like surround Artemis's house on the beach and they're ready to fuck shit up and she just like that's gonna be her pre-ass kicking like one-liner.
The way you're describing it is making me feel sick. It reminds me of, like, sometimes when you guys let me and Wenzel run free and do stupid shit, that's what it reminds me of.
Hey.
No, because y'all are actually entertaining and funny. This movie is soulless and hollow.
I was about to say.
So, because god damn, and then there's some like unfortunate implications with the butler too.
Because the butler is a black man whose name is literally Butler.
Oh.
But don't you call him Butler? But like they like make a big deal out of that, but nothing comes of it.
And it's just so like it just felt like Disney's back on its bullshit of wanting to appear more diverse and caring than they actually do.
Yeah, there's being woke, and then there's being Disney woke.
Which is just sort of just like we'll just throw a diverse cast at the wall, and just with no thought of what any of the characters may mean and how it may be perceived, and just the fact that they take up space, that's enough to give them good press.
Yeah,
which is like that's a big problem. You know, you need to put some thought and consideration into perception and actually give a shit, and not just try to get your points from Twitter to get. Basically, they're doing enough to appease the most amount of people. As long as the most amount of people get off their back, that's what matters.
Yeah, it was. It's just not a good movie, and it feels like the first act of a movie. Because I remember we got to the end, and I was like, "Is this it?" Like, I mean, I'm glad it's over, but was that it? Because it literally felt it was like just the build up to like what would be the rest of the movie, and then the rest of the movie doesn't happen.
That's probably where they're playing the Artemis Fowl trilogy.
Yeah, or no, not even a. I don't even.
But I mean, it's based off of like a 9-book fucking
the saga.
series.
Then
But they obviously meant,
Yeah, I was about to say
meant it to be a franchise.
That's like their, the one. We're not gonna say her name, but that one person.
the next
really
Harry
good,
Potter.
motherfucker.
We didn't say her name. We just said Harry.
I mean, sure, but I don't even know if I
Yeah.
want to say that name either. Okay, Harry Potter. The next Harry Potter is what they're looking for, and I don't think they found it.
Nah, and the thing is like they're like 20 years too late at this
Yeah.
point.
Yeah, 'cause
to bank off like Harry Potter.
because Artemis Fowl came out like when I was a young teenager, like early 2000s.
Like I think like the first book came out in like 2001 or something like
yeah,
that.
but like obviously, I mean, probably the reason why the movie's in shambles because they've been trying since 2001 to get it off the ground. It just took them literally 20 years for it to happen, and now nothing really is gonna come of it.
Yeah. So enough of this piece of shit. Don't watch it. And now I actually talk about a good movie. Once I really started the getting into the mode of okay, I'm going to try to watch 100 movies by the end of the year. I decided to go through all of Paul Thomas Anderson's movies, mostly because there are only 8 of them. So you can get through them pretty quick. And one the probably the best of his films, and me and Pat watched it, was There Will Be Blood.
Yes.
And a lot like a lot of movies, especially like really like artsy good movies, where it ends and you don't know what to think of it, but the more you think on it, it's like, okay, yeah, that's really good. This movie, the minute the credits came up, I was like, fuck, this is a masterpiece. It is so fucking good. Daniel Day-Lewis, this is his best role, hands down. And there are just so many scenes that stick out in my mind of just people screaming, and it's great. And everyone should watch it.
All right.
Because Daniel Day-Lewis, like it's a movie about a intentionally unlikable character.
Oh, he is such a piece of shit.
Like he's a objectively bad person, but you're still, because the plot is really more so a vehicle for his character and what he does over the course of the period of the movie, and just see it, even though how he's just objectively despicable, how even within that can be a compelling story and have like a nuance of his character and humanity, because he's an oil tycoon and he's obviously trying to wring money out of the town for their oil, and it's what he's and how he how much he feels and loves for his son, who's not actually his own son. Now, don't get too much in that if you haven't seen it. But
I mean, and that's in like the first like 5 minutes of the movie.
But it's sort of it's a really interesting sort of character exploration. How even even someone who seems deprived of humanity may even have a glimmer of it, and what that person does with that one little bit of it.
Yeah, and just on top of just all of what you said, it's an amazing character study. The highlight of the movie is his character playing off Paul Dano's character, who's a very charismatic evangelist type of preacher. And they're sort of fighting for control over this town. And they have this like very tense agreement, but just seeing the little snipes they do at each other, it's just fucking great. And I'm all over the place because there's so much of this movie that's just really fucking good. But there's one scene, the first scene we actually see Paul Dano's character preach, where it like follows him out of the church, was like, holy shit. Because you get why this guy is like charismatic, even though he's
how he's a little shit.
Oh, he's a little fucking cunt. He's so slimy, and
you see how he gets into people's like minds and imagination, and like has enveloped this following of people in town. So you understand like the powers quote he has, but at the same time you're just like, what a sniveling little turd you are.
Oh man, and the fact that PTA and Daniel Day-Lewis made the line, "I drink your milkshake, not fucking stupid," and actually like really poignant, was like, fuck. Because for the longest time, that was all I knew about the movie, was that one quote taken out of context. Because it's taken out of context, it's really silly. But like seeing it within the context of the film, it's like, fuck. And just, oh man. And just how it ends. It's so hard to talk about without going into spoilers. But it is on Netflix the last I checked.
All right.
And if it's not on Netflix, the Blu-ray's pretty cheap. So
yeah, this definitely, I would say, go out of your way to watch it. It's a fantastic movie. It's one of the 3-5 stars I've given out in this movie and to movies this year so far.
Yeah, it's definitely one of the handful. And just sort of other movies of his, I recommend Boogie Nights, which is about the porn industry, this group of characters in the porn industry in the late 70s and the 80s. It's really fucking good.
Also, twink icon John C. Reilly.
Yeah,
yes.
I didn't know that.
And that movie's really good. Punch Drunk Love, which I guess with like Uncut Gems is like one of the few dramatic roles that Adam Sandler's in. It's a good like love story movie, even if it's unconventional. And then the last of his movies I will recommend is Phantom Thread, which is his most recent movie. And the best way I can describe it, it's like a perverse Jane Austen novel where everyone is just really snarky and sarcastic and sniping, but it's about this relationship. Whereas in like most Jane Austen novels, it's about this couple, even though they have their problems, they're perfect for each other and they come together. This is about a couple who's just like super fucking toxic, but just seeing how they genuinely care for each other, but they keep pushing each other away because of their individual eccentricities. And like it takes a turn toward like, because it's kind of a meandering story because it's sort of just like events of these people's lives, but then it takes a turn like within the last 15 minutes of the movie that kind of puts a lot of it into context. And it's like if I were to tell you what it was, you probably would be like, oh, that's not too big, but like seeing it in the movie, it's like, oh shit. So yeah, and that one also has Daniel Day-Lewis, supposedly his last movie.
Oh, all right.
Yeah, I've been wanting to check out a bunch of his movies. I just didn't realize it was the same director. Because Tanner told me to check out Punch Drunk Love and Boogie Nights. And I've been wanting to see Blood. There Will Be Blood. Because I just keep seeing it on my Netflix recommendations. So now that I know that it's by the same director and like getting the recommendation from you, I might just check those out soon.
Yeah, and I mean it's like I said, it's on Netflix as far as I know. It is a little long. It is 2.5 hours, but it doesn't feel it. It goes by pretty quick.
To go into my favorite movie that I've seen, one of my favorite movies that I've seen, it's an old one. It's Come and See. It came out in 1985, and let me tell you, it's a rough one. Wenzel went and got a haul from the Barnes & Noble because they had a Criterion sale, and I saw that, and I was like, Come and See. Okay, yeah. I've been meaning to watch that. And I jumped on it like 30 minutes after I saw Wenzel had the haul. I was like, okay. And then I jumped right into it, and I was like, man, this is sad. It's about you watch the innocents die. You watch innocents die. You watch a child become a husk.
Yeah. I like Cole. I've just heard that it's a horror. It's like a horror movie, but not like a horror as in like something supernatural or anything. It's horror like the horror of war. And like when I went to Barnes and Noble, because I see people talking about it all the time, and when I went there, I was like, I couldn't find their copy, so I had to ask, and they had like one copy left. They like sold, like that was the last copy. They sold out, and I checked everywhere else. I think everywhere else was also sold out of this movie. So like that, I don't know. That just shows like its popularity. But like, man, I'm very excited to watch it.
Yeah, like it's set during World War II, and after the Nazis invade. I don't know how to pronounce this. Belarus. Nazis invaded Russia, and it's very rough. I know the hot takes say "fuck Nazis," but man, coming out of this movie, it reinvigorates your hatred. And in our chat, I sent a message. I said like, I think it's important to like watch like documentaries or something along the lines of like World War II with Nazis, just to remind yourself like truly how bad the Nazis were. Like you can just sit there and think, yeah, Nazis are bad, duh, but like it just makes me realize like I shouldn't become numb to like these neo-Nazis and these people that identify as Nazis and want to do all these terrible things.
Yeah, because from what I've heard, the movie is the logical distinction of Nazism and fascism as a whole.
Yeah, the movie is just one big, like, it's really a huge anti-war film, which is also why it took a while for it to even get made, and like, because it was the director is Russian, I believe, and they were in Soviet Union at the time making it, and the Soviet Union had to whatever department has to approve it, and it got revised or so many times until finally it was officially allowed to be distributed. And man, yeah, no, I mean it's like fuck Nazis, man.
Yeah, fuck Nazis.
The bottom line we can have for a person, just like obviously fuck Nazis.
Yeah, just because it's really not that hard to not be a Nazi.
If you ever see anybody say, well, you need to hurt them, I'm okay with that stance. Yes.
Because, like, I don't know, because me personally, having been in history class and even English class, we learned so much about World War II and the Holocaust, and it's like you just hear so many accounts. I read parts of Mouse. We heard or we listened to or read a transcript, I think, of Elie Wiesel's biography. I can't remember exactly.
Are you talking about Night?
I think so, yeah. And
yeah, I had to read that in high school.
And that was just like heart-wrenching. And it's just like it just baffles me that there's people out there who say the Holocaust didn't happen. Like, are you fucking kidding me? Like, what the fuck is wrong with you?
Even people during the day when it was happening, they were denying that it was real, that it was just a made-up story.
Like,
yeah.
Oh my God, Jesus! It's just it is just insane. The apathy.
Yeah.
And just a movie that's come out this year that people have really said it strikes a similar tone with Come and See. I think it's available for rent on streaming right now, and that's called The Painted Bird. And it's very much a deeply unsettling, like soul crushing look and just the brutality of Nazism. Because it's about a young boy as well who sort of starts off. He's like, he paints barns, and just like a very sort of menial job for a child, and just how like his entire world is just like slowly crushed and destroyed, and over this long period of time, much like the movie. And it's a very much an exercise in just showing how deeply inhumane and brutal their actions were. And that's a movie that came out this year. I haven't heard too many people talk about, because it's just a lot of people don't know when these theatrical release movies just get silently dropped on streaming. But that's one I've heard that comes with a fair amount of acclaim. And if that's something that you have the mental energy to watch, I think that will come with a good recommendation, along with coming and seeing Will. Of course, tread carefully, because it's a very dense and impactful movie.
Yeah.
Yeah.
There's actually, on a different note, speaking of Criterion, I actually have these 4 Criterion movies that I watched in June as well. 2 of them are made by the same director, Chris Marker. It's Le Jeté and Sans Soleil. And if you don't know, Le Jeté is the inspiration for Interstellar. And that was made back in 1962, and it's just a film. It's only 30 minutes long, and it's just entirely It's just photographs. That's how it's told, through photograph stills, black and white ones. And it's just about there was some kind of like nuclear war that caused everybody to go underground, and there's one group that's been experimenting with time travel, and so like, they're trying to send people back, and our main character is he's able to go back, but the only reason why is because he has this strong image in his mind of a woman that connects him to this point in time, and that's how he's able to travel through time. It's really good, and I think it's worth the watch. It's short, and even though it's done through photograph stills, you'll definitely be not entertained, but like you'll still be able to watch it. I mean, I was, and it's narrated. You can have it in English or French. I chose French because I like the French voice or whatever. And then Sans Soleil is I for that one I did it with English instead. That one came out in 1983, and that one's more. It's shot like it's just like a woman narrating the thoughts and letters of some person who traveled the world, whether like they went from Japan to Guinea-Bissau, Iceland, and San Francisco, and it's just like this beautiful like footage of all these different places, and this person just talking about this traveler who's just meditating on like time and memory. It's really, really good, and I think anybody who has the time should watch both of these. They're on Criterion. So if you have Criterion, or if you have Canopy, you can watch them on Canopy. And or there's a Criterion still happening right now. They come together in one Blu-ray set, so you can buy it. It'll be $20 since it's half off. And then another Criterion movie I watched recently, The Seventh Seal, really fucking good, by Igor Burnham. Woo! Sorry.
Yeah, I picked that one up on the sale too. I've been picking up a lot of these stupid fucking movies. Like they're not stupid, but
yeah,
a lot of these Criterions. and that was one of them, because that's a movie I've been wanting to watch for a while, and I still haven't. But
man,
based off of what everyone said, including Wenzel, it's wild.
It's really fucking good. And then, I don't even know what to say about The Seventh Seal. Just if you get a chance, watch it. Another Criterion,
and kind of piggying. Sorry to interrupt, but also because I watched another Bergman movie, which was Persona.
Oh yeah,
it's really fucking weird, but I highly recommend it.
Oh, okay. I mean,
I don't know what to make of
Yeah.
it, and I saw it like a few months ago. But like that being said, it is the imagery in the movie and the cinematography that's really striking.
Yeah, that's the same thing with the Seventh Seal. It's very, especially that cover, man. I don't know if you go to Letterboxd and look at that cover, it's just so good. Shot in 1957, it's so ridiculous how beautiful it is, and like also like the fact that like it can relate so much. Like what it has to say is like relatable and poignant to today. Oh man, it's just so good. I love it.
Yeah. I'm super excited to get to that one.
And another Criterion I watched, and I know Jonathan and Pat watched it last night, is Videodrome.
Long live the new flesh.
Long live the new flesh. The way, oh my God, the way he says it, I don't know why, it's just stuck in my head. James Woods. I don't think I've ever watched a James Woods movie before. I didn't realize how skinny he was. Like
the thing is James Woods does the voice of Hades in the Disney movie Hercules.
Never mind, I take it back.
So like I'm like the entire time, and I mean, and Hades is his real voice. So it was hard for me to separate, cartoon villain from this, body.
And then it's even harder to separate James Wood from the character because he sucks shit in real life.
Oh yeah, he's a fucking asshole. But yeah, Videodrome.
I definitely want to see that.
Yeah, Videodrome was a fun time. I can't get over he fucking takes a piece of pizza crust and dips it in his coffee. I don't know why that bothers me, but like it doesn't bother me because I think it's disgusting. It bothers me because I want to try it.
What the fuck?
Wenzel, obviously in a movie where there's like weird torture sex and body modifications
and chest vaginas
no spoilers,
and like
seen
all
it.
sorts of physical depravity. Him dipping old crusty pizza into his coffee, that's obviously the most gut-wrenching thing in the movie.
because he just looks so greasy, and then I'm like, yeah, that makes sense. I don't know.
You might as well
Sorry.
start dipping chicken nuggets in Dr. Pepper if you start doing that shit.
Oh, fuck off. Man.
I mean, I might start doing that now.
Replacing Polynesian sauce with Nutella for chicken nuggets.
Fuck. Oh, disgusting.
Yes.
Yeah, Videodrome was just a crazy fun time. Oh man, I want to check out. Another one of Cronenberg's movies. It did this one called The Brood. I've been really wanting to see that as well. That's actually another Cronenberg movie. Another Cronenberg movie I watched actually this month, July, was Scanners, which was fucking awesome too. Fuck. Love Scanners.
Yeah, the movie that's most known for the head explosion, the beat all head explosions.
Ah man, those head explosions, and then also when they're fucking just the battles like with the bot, like the effects, the practical effects are really fucking good. And there's but man, the guy who plays the main character in Scanners, Steven, I keep thinking his name is Cameron, but no, that's his character's name, Cameron Vale. The guy who plays him, Stephen lacking all personality whatsoever. So bland. Voice was monochromatic, or not mono. It was monotoned.
And the thing is like, talking about like just Cronenberg in general, but specifically Videodrome. It is, gross out body horror movie, but it actually has a lot really poignant things to say about our relationship with technology and the nuanced ways of how it literally becomes a part of ourselves and stuff like that. There's a bunch of think pieces about it. You should, like, after you watch, you should go read.
Like consumption for the sake of consumption and just sort of
and how we consume violence.
Yeah, and even though you might say like, like this doesn't have like a plot or characters or theme or whatever, it still has underlying messages that that penetrate through you, all puns intended.
Because there's a lot of fucking in the movie too.
Oh yeah, it's really grossly horny.
Grossly horny, yeah.
So yeah, I definitely recommend if you have the stomach for it.
Yeah.
Which, I mean, it's for like what you would think a body horror would movie. It is surprisingly tame.
Yeah, because I was going in, I was kind of expecting to be more disturbed and off-put, but like there's definitely some gross stuff in there. But I was kind of surprised I was able to get through it. If you want to be grossed out, watch The Fly.
Oh,
yes, watch The Fly. The Fly's so good.
And if you also want to be grossed out, something that me and Pat have been sort of on a kick on is the filmography of the great John Waters.
The auteur John Waters, because we earlier
The
we
Pope of Trash himself.
early in the spring we watched Pink Flamingos, and then Jonathan on his Criterion kick he got Female Trouble, which some people say is a more palatable version of Pink Flamingos, but it's still off-putting. But man, is it fun to watch, because it's just raunchy and gross and just bad in all the best ways.
Oh God. Yeah, I will say it's definitely not for everybody. You have to have a very particular taste to enjoy, especially early John Waters before he made more commercial movies. But yeah, there are so many quotes of those movies that are just fucking great. Like when fucking Divine goes off in Pink Flamingos, and it's like, they're like, "What are your politics? Kill everyone now. Condone first-degree murder. Advocate cannibalism. Eat shit."
What the fuck?
And like one of my favorite lines from Female Trouble is one of the is a character named Gator's mother, and she's a very she's an elderly plus-size woman who has like this like barely tied together dominatrix outfit on for a majority of the movie, and she kind of turns the idea of like of a parent who's not who's not on board with their child's sexuality, trying to get them to date a person in a straight couple. She's the opposite. Her son is very clearly a straight man, but she wants him to be gay, and she keeps trying to fix him up with boys. And she gets mad that he gets involved with Divine's character. And my favorite line is like, "Get away from him, you hetero stink shit."
What the what the fuck is going on?
God, and there are just so many moments of those movies. And God, so much nudity. You're gonna see so many cocks.
And also, it's deeply unflattering nudity. Like everyone in the movie is butt ass ugly, and you just see full peen, full vagine, all of it, and it's all gross.
This
and
sounds
it's amazing.
awesome.
Yeah, like I said, it's not for everybody. There's definitely some stuff that hasn't aged well, but if you know the context of John Waters and what he was trying to do, it's not mean-spirited in a way, except to the characters who, like Mink Stoll says in Pink Flamingos, there are just two kinds of people, Miss Sandstone, my kind of people, and assholes. And I know which one you fit into.
Damn.
But God, there's just so many things about, like, in Female Trouble at the end where Divine's like, "Who's ready? Who wants to die for art?" And the one guy in the audience is like, "Me," and she literally just caps him. It's great.
Hey.
It's a hoot. Like if you have the stomach and feel a bit adventurous in your cinematic take, I would definitely recommend it, because John and I, we both had a blast watching Pink Flamingos and Female Trouble, and you can expect us to dive deeper into the trash that is John Waters' filmography.
Yeah. Let's just say there is a singing asshole at one point.
Sounds like Family Guy level shit. What the fuck?
Oh, yeah. It's great. Y'all should watch it.
I don't know. I mean, you just said singing asshole. Now I want to move on to something else that's serious. I rewatched 2001: Space Odyssey.
That's a classic.
A classic indeed, because I remember as a kid I was fucking bored, and now I watched it as an adult and I'm like, Jesus Christ, is this an amazing movie?
Oh, yeah. Like, I remember the first, because I watched 2001 when I was a lot older for the first time, and I just remember watching it being like, I'm so glad I did not watch this when I was a teenager, because I would have been bored to tears.
Oh yeah.
That
Like,
probably would have colored your perception on it and wanted to revisit it.
Yeah, because it's like, I mean, it has hardly any dialogue throughout the entire movie.
yeah. And
Like, I think it goes like 30 minutes without like a single like spoken line of dialogue.
something like that. There's very little. I don't want to say too much, just because I know Colt wants to watch it. But if you're not like, if you want to, if those listening, if you want to give it a chance, I say watch it, because 2001 is also like what influenced and inspired a lot of sci-fi later as well. Also another movie I watched, gonna Call Me by Your Name. I watched that movie because Tanner and Cody have been hyping it up for like 1,000 years now, and even though I kind of like low key like lowball it, like, because like I gave it 5 stars and I'm just kind of like, it was great. But like
it was just okay, 5 stars. But that's very on brand for Wenzel though.
Because like I don't know, it's like it's great. It really like it's I don't know, it's great, but like it's just so weird because I don't know how I feel about that relationship in the movie.
Isn't one of them 16 and one of them's like 20 something?
No, one of them's 17, and that's Elio, and then Oliver is like
He's 24.
24. Yeah,
that's not fun.
Yeah, so like that's like the one, because I saw it I think at the end of last year, and that was one of the big sticking points with me, was like ugh. And I know it's like different time, it takes place in a different country with different ages of consent, but it was still kind of icky.
Yeah, it was just, and I mean, in that 5-star rating I gave it, was, I think, solely for the fact that, like, shot beautifully, love the music, love the sounds, performances are amazing.
Yeah, it's well written.
It's well written, too. Like, shit, it was just a fantastic movie. It's just that, like, I don't know how I feel about that, But,
yeah. So, like, just, like, if you're going to go into the movie, just keep that in mind, because, honestly, everything else about the movie is near perfect.
Yeah, exactly.
I feel like this would be a nice segue into another contentious property that people were sort of talking about a lot online recently. I watched Hamilton the other day.
Oh God!
And I feel like I need a moment to just to get it out of my system.
All right.
Just to say, because there's been a lot of discourse. I want to have my piece just to get it out, so we can stop running around in my brains like gravel and honeybees. So it's fine. It's fine. But I understand entirely that there's a lot of genuine criticisms, valid criticism, because, like, yes, it definitely takes these very, at best, deeply flawed figures of American history to outright racist, and kind of paints them as quirky, fun-time, musical people, and sort of skirts a lot of the heavier issues. And yes, Lin-Manuel Miranda looks like a big-headed doof when he casts himself as the lead role in the movie, where literally every single woman drops their panties at his feet, and every single dude thinks he's just the most amazing, well-done person who's ever existed, even when he essentially becomes the bad guy in the second half of the movie. Like, it's fine. Like, I don't know what else to say. Like, it has some good songs. Just, like, I have mad respect for people in musicals just because, like, they're singing and dancing, remember all the routines and all this. Also, I was pissed to fuck drunk when I watched it too. So, like, I was much more animated watching it than I'm recalling, because apparently Liz and Ken and all them heard me screaming while I was watching it. So that I'm interested to hear them go back more into that. But honestly, I understand why people were upset with it, and I agree with a lot of it. It's just, for me personally, I don't have the mental bandwidth to die on a hill about Hamilton. Like, there's so much other bullshit in the world, like Trump's secret Gestapo police in Portland, Oregon, and coronavirus getting worse and worse. Like, and just because there are bigger issues in the world doesn't mean the smaller issues aren't still important. It's just like, I physically can't make myself care about Hamilton to even give like more than what I'm saying right now. I would say, if you're interested, for good or bad, watch it for yourself. Make your own opinion. That's really, I don't really know much more to say other than that.
Yeah, because there are two types of people, or there are two kinds of people in the world, and both of them are annoying as shit. The people who think Hamilton is the God's gift to fucking Earth, and it's like every like chance they get, they mention it. It's like, have you heard the soundtrack to Hamilton? It's like, no. And then there are the backlash to those people who are just as annoying, who are like, Hamilton's fucking stupid and fuck you. Blah. It's just like, why don't we all just shut the fuck up?
I mean, I don't know. Everybody has a right to opinion. I get that, but like, if you have in this moment of American and the human history to expel excess mental energy about this musical, I say God bless, because I sure as hell don't.
Yeah.
I think that's a reasonable answer, Pat. But also, you already died on this hill, Pat.
That's right. I'm a ghost.
Yep.
I was a ghost the whole time.
Oh no.
You died
Shyamalan.
you died on the Hamilton Hill 20 years ago.
Hey, guess who I am? I'm biting my lip. Ow. Ow.
I don't get the reference.
I'm Lin-Manuel Miranda biting my lip because I'm
I don't know
a
who that
sexy
is.
hunk. Were you listening to Pat?
I mean, I know who you talk. I know that's the person, but like I've never seen like this person.
Do you
Before
look
the
at the
Hamilton
chat?
discourse,
No,
or you still don't know what he looks like?
I just don't know what he looks like.
Look up Lin-Manuel Miranda lip bite.
No, I won't.
Well,
Yeah.
that's okay. We'll just flood your DMs with Manuel lip bites.
Oh fuck! I don't know if I want that.
Oh, too bad. You're gonna know what he looks like by the end of this day, motherfucker.
Shit.
Especially once we start getting pissed drunk.
Fuck.
But to talk about a good musical, one of my movies on the Criterion Hall that I made last week it was just a blind buy. I was like, oh, this looks cool, and it's called Hedwig and the Angry Itch.
And I love this musical. No joke. I was listening to the soundtrack all throughout that week that we watched it.
Oh, same here. It was so fucking good. It's about this. What's his name before? When he's
Hansel.
Hansel. Yeah, he lives in East Berlin. This is before the Berlin Wall falls, and he falls in love with rock music, and then he meets this American GI who convinces him to go under gender affirmation surgery, so they can marry and they can take him back to America. But the surgery gets botched, and the guy, once the GI brings him back to America, just leaves him for another person, and just it's about this person's struggle through working through their gender identity as well as becoming a unrecognized rock icon.
Because Hedwig, as Hansel becomes, they're like she's the frontman of a floundering like punk rock group, and she's trying desperately to get noticed, but she's also having to deal with like the internal friction of the band, her own sort of like a general neuroses, and dealing with the fact that she's been hurt in multiple ways by different lovers and sort of by her own actions. And plus the soundtrack is just great. There's a ton of just amazing songs, and it has and I don't know. There's just a lot of really interesting things about interpersonal relationship, understanding yourself, and love, and like finding that person we're looking for. Is like, should we focus on relationship? We focus on ourselves, and I feel like it has a lot of interesting things to say in terms of just general feelings about relationship and love, and just sort of like, and plus like queer understanding as well.
Mm-hmm. Exactly, and it's just, and on top of all of that, it one of the big problems with movie musicals, especially ones that adapt from the stage, is they don't adapt the stage show to the cinematic form. But this movie is really cinematic and really inventive with its camera work, cinematography. Parts of it are animated, and the animation is really cool. It's like that late 90s MTV type of animation. And yeah, I highly recommend it.
It's definitely one of my favorites that I've watched this year for sure.
Oh, awesome. Speaking of a movie with killer sound or music, I watched recently Sorcerer, and because a long time ago my dad showed me a specific scene from it, and I was like, holy crap. And then forever he's been wanting me to watch it, so I got the Blu-ray version because I wanted to watch it in its best quality as I could. And Jesus Christ, it is a great movie. It's about four guys. They're criminals from different parts of the world, and they're in South America, and they have to transport dynamite that has its ingredient nitroglycerin leaking out of it, and it's unstable. So they have to transport it 200 miles across the jungle, and if it moves or makes any movement whatsoever, then it will explode because it's unstable. And it's really, really freaking good. It has this really good synth soundtrack. It's just so, by this band called Tangerine Dream. It's so freaking good. And Cole, if you remember, I don't know if you remember this American Dad episode. It's one of the newer ones where Steve and Haley had to transport a truck full of explosive ham, and
Okay, yeah.
and they get stopped by that cop that's like,
Ooh, Maui Zowie.
yeah, ooh, ooh, mommy. And but there's also that scene where they're trying to drive the truck across a bridge. That's literally pulled straight from Sorcerer,
Oh, okay.
and it is amazing. I if there's any way anybody can watch it, watch it. It originally, when it came out, it was actually critically panned. Critics hated it, and it also didn't make much money because it came out around this time Star Wars was coming out. But then over time, it got a critical reevaluation, and it's considered like one of this director William Friedkin's best works. Yeah, I think it's worth a watch. You know, I don't know. Maybe when we get together, when this is all over, I'll show you guys, because damn,
Sounds good. I mean, it's by the same guy who directed The Exorcist, so
yeah. Oh, and it has fucking shit. I gotta find it. It has one of the actors in there. One of the main characters. He's played by Roy Scheider. He's the guy that was in Jaws.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, he plays the police chief in Jaws.
I think probably the last movie I'll discuss today will be it's a documentary that's on Netflix called Mucho Mucho Amor, which is about the life of Walter Mercado. He was a big personality in Latin America as like a astrologer and TV psychic, and he's just a very, like, I guess as something that Americans may know, like very akin to like Liberace, like a very flamboyant and a fantastic character, like big wardrobe, like over the top personality and sort of general aesthetic, and sort of like his like deep like affection within the Latin American community, and how like just like generations of people have grown up with him, and his just like uncanny stage presence, because he was originally an actor and a dancer who's just sort of kind of fell, not say fell, but like his sort of personality through happenstance led to this enormous career, just in a way he never intended. And just sort of seeing his life and just the impact he's had amongst all these people, and just sort of just, you know, from what I can tell from this documentary, like a very genuine, if extremely eccentric person as well. And I think not only has he made a lot to just general people in Latin America, he's how big he is as a queer icon in general. Just sort of being like a very, even though he's never really come out and say what his sort of leaning is on the surface, it seems to be this non-binary asexual entity that just for his sheer personality and just sort of goodwill has enamored him to a lot of fans across really the entire world, across, you know, race and gender and sexuality and like all these different aspects. And it's a really, I guess, comforting story to see how much one person can mean to so many people, even once their star has maybe faded or they sort of fall into back. These people are never really forgotten, because just how deeply their impact is felt. And I felt like that's a very good documentary you can find on Netflix.
Nice.
And then I got last two movies. We're gonna be real quick about them. Me and Pat watched. This was my first Kurosawa movie, Throne of Blood, which is basically Shakespeare's Macbeth, but in Japanese samurai context. And it's really good. You should check it out. The editing is dated. You'll know when you watch it. There's a bunch of weird wipes. I'll say that. But there are shots in this movie that are really haunting. There's one midway through the movie that's just a single take when I can't remember the character's name, but the Macbeth analog kills the king to take over the kingdom, and just seeing how like
the Lady Macbeth, you mean?
huh?
Well, isn't his wife supposed to be Lady Macbeth?
Yeah, well, I was just saying, like, when Toshiro Mifune's character goes to kill the leader with the spear.
I thought that was his wife. She did it. Oops, spoilers.
No. She talks him into it.
Yeah,
but I mean, it's Macbeth. I mean, it's hundreds of years old at this point. Yeah, and a lot of it's based off of like Ko and Kabuki theater, and it's just and just like a lot of really stark shots that you should watch it. And then the last movie I'll talk about was one that me and Pat watched, was Inside Llewyn Davis, which was a Coen Brothers movie. And this was one of the few movies I gave 5 stars to. It stars Oscar Isaac, and he's a folk musician from the 60s, and he's trying to get his big break, but due to outside forces and mostly things he does, he's not able to make it in the real world or make it into the entertainment industry.
See the success he wants, because it's a very interesting movie how they're able to, in a similar aspect to There Will Be Blood, take such an unlikable character and make their story engaging, because Oscar Isaac's role as Llewyn Davis, like, he's so deeply frustrating is that he literally cannot and will not get out of his own way at any course of his struggle, that it's kind of just like, why the fuck are you like this? But the way everything's put together, you still find some way to feel for him, and you're still along for the ride.
Yeah, because he's not necessarily like evil like Daniel Plainview and There Will Be Blood. Like, Daniel Plainview is fucking evil, like, incarnate. But Llewyn Davis is just an asshole, but like as the movie reveals more and more about his past and sort of what he's going through, while it doesn't excuse what he does in the movie, because he does treat a lot of the people around him like garbage, it really puts things into context. Especially there's a scene halfway through the movie or so where he's at this like party with this old couple who just takes him in randomly, and he ends up going off on the lady of the house, and it seems like for no reason. But then like later on in the movie, it's sort of he drops this one line that really puts that into context. It's like, oh, that's why he freaked out on that lady. I mean, it's Coen Brothers. It's very different from Coen Brothers. It's not like overtly funny, but it's not as dark or bleak as, say, No Country for Old Men. It rides a line in between that. Of their movies, it's closer to A Serious Man. If any of y'all have seen that, which is another one I recommend. That one's really good. But
all right,
yeah, Inside Llewyn Davis. It's also on Criterion. So,
well, I think we had a nice catch up with what we've been watching over the summer, as we're still sequestered indoors to our respective houses. But I think we have given you plenty to chew on for your own sort of quarantine viewing, and we hope you seek some of these movies out, because we believe to be very much worth your time. From the good ones to even some of the bad ones, I think you'll be very well entertained for any of these movies on our list. So once again, we want to thank you all for listening today. We really do appreciate that. You can follow us on SoundCloud, iTunes, Google Play, Google Podcasts, Overcast, Spotify, and any RSS feed catcher. We're there. Dishing the banter out. Just be sure to like, rate, review, and subscribe on all those platforms. It really helps us out, puts the show in front of new people, and really keeps the show alive. And also, you can follow us on our socials. You can follow us on Twitter and Instagram at AYCH Podcast. You can follow us on Letterboxd and Facebook at All You Can Hear. You can follow us on Twitch at twitch.tv/All You Can Hear. And our VODs go up on our YouTube, which is also at All You Can Hear. And finally, you can follow me, Patrick, on Twitter and Instagram at John Lost His Name. Follow my art on Facebook at John Lost His Name Art.
My name is Jonathan. You can follow me on Twitter at JONIIBOY24 and JohnOwnSon12 on Letterboxd. And stay tuned in a couple months where we inevitably release part 3 of media we consume during quarantine.
Yeah, and then after that, wait another few months, and then we'll do a media consumed during quarantine. And then again, and again, and again. It's never going to end. Well, my name's Colt. Follow me on Twitter at ColtD00. I'm tired. I'm so tired.
Night-night.
I'm Wenzel. Thank you for listening. You can follow me on Twitter at WenzelWilkie. You can follow my art Instagram at World of Wenzy. Movies, they're cool.
Yeah, so we'll see you next time.
All right.
Bye.
Take care, everyone. We'll see you soon. Take care.
Bye.
Night.
What-
Drink some milk.